I got into a committed relationship with a bag of wheels. Hello. It's me, James Stephanie Sterling, in the bathroom. I'm sick of the green screen because I can't show my green things. So I thought I'd take a week off, but I haven't got anywhere to film, so green things. Look at these green mini boglins, huh? How's that for exciting? Ah, Spider-Man, I want to drink your blood. You see, everyone loves the Mysterio. Oh la la la, oh, how about a jar of mint sauce? All of the green things. Oh, look. Ronna, huh? I haven't come up with a funny voice for it or anything. You know, there's no bits or skits or... no bits or skits or nothing. It's just that... But it's green. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I haven't slept all weekend. Would you like to hear about some stupid, horrible garbage? Of course you do. Who doesn't love to hear about stupid, horrible garbage? So, there's this new thing called an NFT. I say new. It's been around for a while, but lately the absurd and exasperating concept has gained massive traction and attention. You may have heard about NFTs for the first time when Twitter founder and fascist collaborator Jack Dorsey sold his very first tweet for $2.5 million. And you may have found yourself asking such questions as, what the fuck? And why? And can the human race just fuck off already? Well, thanks to the huge negative impact that they have on the planet's environment, NFTs may very well answer that last question. The other queries, though, are harder because the answers are so frustratingly fucking clownish. So what is an NFT, otherwise known as a non-fungible token? It is, in essence, a scam. Let's look at the case of Dorsey selling his tweet. There's no physical evidence of the tweet, not unless you print it off, and there's nothing in place to stop that or any duplication via anything from simple screenshots to painting it on a wall. Even more amazingly, there are no actual rights attached to the sale. There is, in essence, no actual way to sell a tweet. Nothing was actually sold. But since when has practicality, possibility, or basic physics gotten in the way of tech bros, Wall Street predators, and other assorted vampires literally spitting gold out of thin fucking air? The best way I could describe an NFT is a digital deed for something that doesn't exist. Using the blockchain itself, an environmentally destructive load of arbitrarily lucrative contrivance, an NFT can create a series of transactions that basically prove you own invisible nonsense. Imagine something like those programs where you can buy a square foot of Scottish land to call yourself a lord, or buy a piece of the moon. It's sort of real, but it also doesn't mean anything, and you can't really do anything with it but brag and enjoy the novelty. Except with an NFT, you don't even get a tiny patch of land you could theoretically visit but won't ever bother to. Instead of sleeping, I just shopped for Mad Bulls on eBay and redesigned my apartment until dawn. So yeah, that's what sold for $2.5 million. Those millions didn't actually buy a tweet. They didn't buy something nobody else could access or even have. Someone spent millions just to be able to point at one tweet someone else wrote and tell their friends, "See that? It's mine, that is." And that does what? What does buying a tweet do? What does buying a tweet actually do, though? Seriously, though, what's that tweet gonna do for ya? Is it to impress the big client? To be the envy of their friends? To get laid? Is anyone gonna see a JPEG with "just setting up my Twitter" and immediately demand you sling your slime inside them? In any case, this con has been popular enough that people own tokens or linking them to videos, pictures, social posts, sports games, and the originators of the work being sold still retain all of their original rights. So again, the NFT is practically literally nothing except a weird bragging right only recognized by those who don't think this is all complete fucking bullshit.
Fish for my life.
One person who knows the whole thing is complete fucking bullshit but is happy to profit from it regardless is game developer Jason Roa. Roa has, over the years, flitted in and out of headlines with such games as Passage, 1 Hour, 1 Life, and the Castle Doctrine. It's that latter game, Castle Doctrine, where Roa is trying to make a quick and dirty buck, selling NFTs to artwork he commissioned for that game, all without the permission or knowledge of the original artists. Roar has been auctioning off NFTs to this artwork, and while he's only sold a handful of the 145 paintings, also, what the fuck, mate? Like, what the fuck, though? Despite this being unregulated, even if this is actually kind of meaningless, what's going on here? The basic lack of artistic respect is really quite stunning for someone who fancies themselves a creative. NFTs are bullshit. This artwork was created for the game before NFTs or blockchain, and all of that horribleness was but a glint in a capitalist's eye. And not one of the artists had consented to their work being used in a manner other than what it was commissioned for, the game to which the art belongs. Vocal performer Ashley Birch has found her work is part of Roa's brazen bazaar and explains the issue thusly. I definitely did not consent to him selling the art as an NFT. I mean, it was years ago, and the understanding was that it would be a piece of art in the game. That's it. Definitely did not foresee this particular development. Our humble purveyor of artisanal NFTs, for his part, doesn't seem to care, claiming that because he commissioned so much art from so many people, he couldn't be fucking bothered to contact them and ask. Sorry, it'd exceed his bandwidth as a content creator. Yeah, much better to just mutilate the concept of artistic integrity than take a bit of time out of your day to show common respect to the people who produced art for you. This is especially galling when a number of the artists included in the auction have been publicly critical of NFTs and explicitly don't approve of their work being involved at all. Roa has straight up acknowledged in interviews and on Twitter that what he's doing is a scam. Oh, or as he puts it, a half scam. He also knows full well that it damages the environment, with each NFT transaction equaling a human's power consumption for 4 days, but he shrugs and falsely equivocates when asked about it. He claims to have no strong opinion on NFTs, but he does like working in moral grey areas and says, "I love crackpot ideas, pyramid schemes, etc." Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did he just say he loves pyramid schemes? He loves them. Pyramid schemes. As in pyramid schemes. He loves pyramid schemes. The old scheme of that old there pyramid there. Jason Roa loves pyramid schemes. What the fuck, though? Even anyway, though, as a content creator, As a content creator, I've commissioned a lot of artists to produce all manner of beautiful and horrific stuff. I like to think I pay well, and on top of that, I adamantly insist upon the artists retaining both full creative and resale rights. The best I'll claim is a source idea if it's an original character of mine or whatever, but when Teriyaki Weasel produces scary Sonic art, or Nathan Hanover does me some music, it's their production. The idea I try to make additional money off their work outside of what I commissioned that work for is already sketchy, especially when it involves a monetization situation that nobody could have predicted, is proving pretty unpopular with artists, and it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. Doing it without their input is just plain rude. To do both while involving a controversial, damaging, self-admittedly scammy transaction is a level of classlessness that not even someone who fucks pogs on camera can countenance. Oh, and just in case any of you want to say, oh, well, Jason's got the right to do that. He's got the right to sell people a bill of goods. Alright, cool. Doesn't make many less of a...
Scientists will tell you tartar is a serious problem. They use this. You need tartar control crest. Reduces tartar formation. Tartar can build up over. Tartar is a serious problem. Tartar, 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 tartar.
EA Gate was a thing recently, and yes, I fully agree that suffixing everything with gate is fucking annoying, but here we are. People started calling it EA Gate long before I heard about it. There's nothing I can do to fix it. We're stuck calling it EA Gate, and thus we all have to deal with it. The story itself, unlike other nerd-based gates, isn't about women having too many opinions, but is in fact centered around a very genuine controversy. Allegedly, an alleged EA employee has allegedly been contacting FIFA players to offer them rare in-game items for a sky-high price.
Allegedly.
These items are, you guessed it, loot box contents, pertaining to FIFA's predatory and highly unethical Ultimate Team mode. Ultimate Team hides football players in loot boxes, with the very best game-dominating athletes having a less than 1% chance of appearing. An odd so minuscule, Electronic Arts' Andrew Wilson might as well do a tiny little shit in a thimble and leave it under your pillow at night. I literally have no idea what that would achieve. It would just be better than fucking loot boxes. FIFA players in the past have spent hundreds, even thousands of dollars trying to get their favourite ones. In fact, FIFA may very well be the most personally destructive economy in the industry, responsible as it is for countless stories of kids clearing out family bank accounts and exploited players racking up huge credit card bills. EA, of course, shrugs and says it's personal responsibility. It's only optional. It's player choice. It's optional. You just play a choice. You just skip the grind. It's just cosmetic. You just play a choice. You just skip the grind. It's optional. Refusing to acknowledge how loot boxes and similar monetization expressly preys on more vulnerable people who just want to play a fucking game. Basically, FIFA is fucking disgusting. Grotesquerie can always get grosser though, so a number of players reported being contacted by a self-proclaimed EA rep with a hookup. The seller's been asking for prices higher than $2,000 in exchange for rare FIFA Ultimate Team cards, which are supposedly added to the player's account once the money's been exchanged. Given the sheer advantage these powerful cards offer, this is play to win taken to its most direct and underhanded conclusion. After players expressed their public outrage at the offer and the fact people are buying their way to success, EA unleashed a good old-fashioned solemn JPEG to announce an investigation, as well as condemn the alleged actions and acknowledge concerns that the purchase of these items can create an unfair balance, which is funny because EA already sells these items. It just does them in a way that potentially could cost a customer a lot more money than if they actually just forked over $2,000 to a fucking stranger. Like, seriously, there's a lot of bitter fucking amusement I'm feeling as I see Electronic Arts talk about unfair advantages in a system it had designed from the ground up to be unfair. The only major difference is EA's official pay-to-win economy ensures a lot more losers. Don't get me wrong, I'm not approving of the shady reselling. It's just as predatory as microtransactions are themselves, taking advantage of people to profit from a glorified online casino. But it speaks volumes to how fucked up the loot box concept is, that all it takes is direct access to the contents to potentially ruin the entire game, which, if someone just got really, really lucky, wouldn't it ruin the balance the same way? Oh wait, no, doing it that way would make EA thousands. So it's okay and not at all exploitative. Why the fuck did I say thousands? The industry makes billions psychologically attacking their paying customers into paying more. What I really want to point out though is just how fitting it is that this story broke while everyone is talking about those non-refundable tokens. Just as we got done talking about how NFTs are essentially worthless items with arbitrary value assigned to them by vultures, well, you know, microtransactions. The inherent ludicrousness of loot boxes and the sheer convoluted nature of their supposed value is laid bare when something this idiotic comes along to undermine it. It exposes truly how much the concept of value itself is simply made up, evidenced by how many game publishers pull entire economies out of their arse with every new game they make. I mean, it's what they do. They just invent economies out of nowhere and suddenly a FIFA card cottage industry pops up. That's actually fucking wild when you consider it. Almost as wild as the notion of microtransactions existing in $60 to $70 games to begin with. Value is fucking bullshit. We know this anyway. I mean, do you think the boglins I buy are worth the thousands I've invested into the little bastards? No, it's only worth what I and the 20 other boglin collectors in the world have decided we're willing to pay, like idiots. Things being worth money is made up to an actual scary degree. The economy itself and money, it's all fake, and it only works because we all just kinda agreed to believe it does, even though it keeps obviously and visibly failing before our very eyes. But oh god, how does any of this work? How do any of these systems we're in operate when all I seem to see is industries rapidly growing and violently crashing, and Jesus fucking Christ? Are there even any safety rails on this fucking thing? When a random dipshit can say, I'll put this in your game for $2,000, and the environment is such that that sounds like a reasonable sales pitch to someone, then truly loot boxes have even less worth than I imagined. And I already imagined them as negative worth, as actively harmful and damaging to players on a personal level, to games on a design level, and the industry on an industry level. Yeah, that's the level the industry's on. Loot boxes are still harmful and still perverse and still around. And if we're going to have an EA gate, then I'd aim it at the exploitative system as well as those exploiting it. But then I tried to tell people that about capitalism as well, so...
On the way she lets her head down when the wind blows her hair all around me. She knows I surrender to the way she glows, and I can't stop thinking about just how perfect this all turned out. No other word but free. Sing it with me. But I never wanna leave this place.
Oh, mints!
Gotta catch 'em all, Pokémon!
Pokémon Go's eggs aren't loot boxes. They're fun presents! Now, when I read that headline on Kotaku.com, when many people read that headline, they automatically assumed it was a quote. Headlines do that sometimes. Especially when the quote is ludicrous and sycophantic enough, it makes a great headline. Pokémon Go's eggs aren't loot boxes, they're fun presents. It's right up there with that time Electronic Arts tried to call loot boxes surprise mechanics. But this isn't a quote from Niantic or Nintendo. No, this is just an article. This is... They're not loot boxes. Sure. Yeah. You do you, mate. Now, I'm bringing this article up not just because the headline is fucking hilarious, but because it encapsulates a lot of what I have frustratedly said about games media in the past couple months, the past year, about how while I'm accused of saying the same shit over and over again, it's only because I keep seeing the same corpo propaganda over and over again, ignoring the years of counterpoints that have been laid out. As I've said before, I and others, we advanced all these conversations years ago. We heard all of the sycophantic defenses over the years for microtransactions, for gambling mechanics, all of the usual, it's optional, it's time savers, it's just cosmetic, it skips the grind, it's optional. Normally I do what I'd always do and repeat myself while going through the same tired, hackneyed excuses for an industry that is devilish enough without the need for any more advocates. But I genuinely can't be fucked. I genuinely can't be fucked this time. When I read that Pokémon Go's loot boxes are a system that offer the player no meaningful advantages and all works perfectly well within the core game without ever having to spend any money at all, frequently providing fun, surprising rewards, I feel my brain glass over as I hear the same old excuses that I've heard spewed out of the mouths of unscrupulous marketeers and unchallenged producers. Still, at least the article does admit that they're a little shady. Half scam, am I right? But yeah, it's the same old shit. You don't have to, it's optional. Never mind the fact that there is a way to spend money on these randomized rewards. They're totally not loot boxes, because it's not direct. There is some money laundering involved, just like how they weren't in that fucking stupid Resident Evil spin-off last year, because you couldn't directly buy them. You could only buy tokens that sped up the rate you got the random gamble boxes. It's gambling. You can spend money on it. Someone tried to tell me yesterday that they're not loot boxes because they don't matter, and therefore it doesn't matter that they're loot boxes. What? It won't cease to amaze me how many hoops game developers will jump through to retain their gambling mechanics. But it simply saddens me to see people jumping through those hoops after them to defend this shit. And if my rebuttals here aren't good enough for you today, well, I invite you to fuck off and go see all of the detailed, laborious rebuttals I've produced for every single little piece of corporate apologia. It's a big archive. Hours of fun. Something went wrong and couldn't use the Anyway, in another desperate bid to have some content for you, look, this is green. It's the toxic waste hazardously sazzard candy. It's gross, and that's why we eat the gross things on YouTube for fun. Look, there it is, it's not green. I didn't think ahead to get one of the green ones out, so... look, it's content. It's disgusting, and that's why it's funny. I don't like it. I don't like it. Have a routine? Some sort of double act? Piranha plant and mint sauce. What will they do? What the fuck would they do? The battery on the camera is literally about to run out because I run a very professional outfit. Oh shit, thank God for me. I messed around too much. I feel like I was like a waste of my mouth. Thank God for me.